Welcome to my recap of Boss Level, a sci-fi action movie about a man trapped in a time loop where he has to fight his way through assassins and get to the boss. Enjoy. It's morning in an apartment that was hosting a party for two the previous night. Roy Pulver is passed out on the bed with a woman, and a hitman approaches with a machete. But Roy is ready for him and quickly dispatches the assassin, as he's done over 100 times before. Roy has been stuck in a time loop and has been repeating this morning every time he wakes up. A helicopter arrives outside the apartment's window and obliterates the apartment with a machine gun. Roy is ready for this too and escapes out the window just as the apartment explodes. He safely falls into a garbage truck and thinks about how many tries it took him to figure out when to jump and not hit the pavement. He finds a man driving a sports car convertible and tells him to get out. They have repeated this robbery enough times that Roy knows to yell, "I'm being carjacked," in unison with the driver. Roy takes off in the sports car. He is being chased by two women. He calls them Esmeralda and Pam. They fire at him, but he knows their moves well enough to escape. Unfortunately, he isn't ready for the bus that hits the convertible and instantly kills him. Just like every day before this one, he dies violently, because every day, he is chased by several assassins. Esmeralda and Pam, Guan Yi with her giant sword, Kaboom with his explosives, the German twins, Smiley, and the other Roy, a guy who looks just like Roy. One of them always gets him, or he dies trying to escape. He's tried calling Dr. Gemma Wells. She is the only one who has answers. They were married once and have a son together, although the kid doesn't know Roy is his father. But when he calls her laboratory office, Colonel Clive Ventor, Gemma's boss, answers the phone. Gemma is dead, he informs Roy. She fell and snapped her neck the previous night. Roy knows that's a lie, and that he needs to get to the laboratory to get answers and get out of his time loop. He is a trained special agent with Delta Force, and he has been learning from each of his deaths. This time, being chased by Esmeralda and Pam, he manages to obtain their explosive gun and blow them up. Then stops at Noodles Cafe for a couple bottles of baijiu, something Roy likes to do now and again. At the bar, he commiserates with Jake the bartender, listens to Boring Dave the security expert, and precisely predicts lunchtime happenings at the bar, including a busboy taking a spill and Dai Fang, a famous Chinese sword fighter, arriving for lunch. When Roy gets drunk enough, he starts talking about all the ways he's died. At 12:47 p.m., he realizes he has never made it this far into the repeating day. And he thinks of the previous day, before the time loop began. He had gone to visit Gemma in her lab. She is hesitant to open up to him, but has a job for him. She built a machine that alters time and space. She takes a lock of Roy's hair and sizes him up for a suit. He misses their child, Joe, and asks if he can keep a photo. She hasn't let him close to Joe because she's been afraid his absence with work will hurt the child. The room is bugged and the colonel is listening. He sends his main henchman, Brett, down to fetch Gemma. He isn't happy with this visitor she's brought in to see highly classified research. Before Gemma goes with Brett, she tells Roy to be the man she knows he can be and remember the name Osiris. Gemma is brought before the colonel. He is upset that the spindle is not operating well. He is upset with Roy's visit and makes the call, sending the assassins after him. Meanwhile, Roy gets drunk at a seedy bar and brings home Alice, a dental hygienist. Gemma applies Roy's hair with his DNA to a cog on the spindle. She calls him and leaves a message to warn him she had to do something drastic. She asks him if he got her birthday present, but gets cut off. The next morning, he has found the present, a book titled The Mythology of Isis and Osiris. She was protector of the dead and skilled in magical transport from the afterlife and beyond. He was dismembered and scattered across the country by his enemy. Roy takes the book somewhere quiet to study it. In the underground mall, he spots his son Joe entering a competitive video game tournament featuring early side-scroll games. Joe ditched school to come. Roy is protective of the kid and wonders how he will tell the boy his mother is dead. Joe knows Roy, but only as a super agent friend of his mother's. Joe doesn't know Roy is his father. Roy realizes he's being tracked As Roy and Joe leave the mall, the assassins appear. Before they take Roy out, he hugs Joe and confesses that he's his father. Joe looks at him warmly as he dies. With Dave, the security expert's help, Roy realizes the tracker is in one of his molars, and he realizes that Alice, the dental hygienist, must be the one who inserted the tooth tracker. Now, without a tracker, he hunts down Pam, Smiley, Kaboom, and most of the other assassins. When Brett calls Kaboom's phone, Roy lets him know he's coming. It takes him a couple of lives to figure out how to get into the laboratory. He tries to ram the front gate at first, but ends up assuming the identity of Roy number 2 as he hijacks Roy number 2's car. Once he figures out how to get past the security guard in the elevator, Roy has to confront Guan Yin, who is really good with his sword. Guan Yin's catchphrase is, "I am Guan Yin, and Guan Yin has done this." She says it after each kill. No matter how many lives he uses, he cannot get past her. And even if he kills her, he is too wounded to defeat Brett and the Colonel. As he dies over and over, he realizes his connection to the Isis and Osiris myth. Osiris is sent in many pieces out into death so that he can rule it, and Isis controls death itself. Roy and Gemma are the Osiris and Isis. She put his DNA into the spindle to send him out to defeat death. Roy spent several days training with Dai Fang, the swordmaster he met having lunch at the cafe. Once he has learned enough, he is capable of defeating Guan Yin and Brett. The Colonel reveals that he planned on using the spindle to remake the world as he sees fit. Gemma starting the spindle has ruined the Colonel's plans. But the spindle is unstable and it cannot run indefinitely. Eventually, it'll destroy the world. And once Roy defeats all of the Colonel's henchmen, the world explodes. Even if Roy defeats all the assassins and the Colonel, it's the end of the world regardless. This sends Roy into a depression, and he allows the first assassin of the morning to kill him several times in his bed. But as he thinks about his son dying at the end of the world, he realizes he needs to move on to complete the day so he can figure out how to save the planet. And finally, he decides to get to know his son. This time, he doesn't tell Joe that he is his father, but Joe tells Roy that he spoke to his mother that morning, meaning she didn't die the night before. She was alive for 14 minutes after Roy wakes up in the morning. He needs to get to her in that 14 minutes. So on the next loop, he commandeers the helicopter outside his window and pilots it to the laboratory. With all his experience, he easily takes out all the assassins, and after a gunfight, he makes it to Gemma in her lab. He tells her about all he learned about Joe and how his love for his son got him to her. She tells him that she started the spindle for Roy so he could figure out a way to stop the Colonel. Now that he's figured it out, they need to return time to its normal flow and prevent the world ending. Meaning, Roy needs to start the day over one last time. But this time, there is no time loop. If he dies, he dies. But if he succeeds, Gemma and Joe will live. Time will continue normally and the world will survive. Gemma tells Roy that she loves him, and he enters the spindle to see if he can beat the Colonel in a no-death run. I hope you enjoyed this recap. If you did, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more. Thank you for watching, and see you on the next one.